Welcome back to another episode of Pages of Chelsea. I am your girl, Chelsea, and today we're going to discuss August's TBR wrap up. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna get my handy dandy notebook. I added some more stickers because I told you guys that my new stickers were coming and they're in. Okay, actually, I'm gonna try to clip this. 1 second. Hi, guys. Okay, I am wearing my dog mom shirt in honor of my puppy who left us August 24th. I saw this shirt in my closet and I was like, I have to wear, excuse the sticker. But yes, okay. Let me get back into the mindset of dogs. I mean, books. Sorry, guys, books. Okay. So this month we had 4 books to read and it did not go very well for me. I struggled so bad in the month of August with reading books. This was probably the worst month of books that I've done since I've decided to fully dive into books. It just wasn't a good month for books. And I know we all have it. It's a little sad because I was so excited. I'm always so excited about my TBR list most of the time. No, I have been all of the time. And I was excited about this list, but when it came time to just read the books, I just wasn't feeling it. And again, that's just a part of being a mood reader. So let's talk about the books that I did read. The first book I did start off this month reading was Fourth Wing. I originally showed you guys a physical copy of that book, and I started reading it, and that was part of the reason why I had a slow month. Because Fourth Wing, when I started it, when I recorded it, the book I could only find it in physical form from my local library, the fastest without paying for it. And so I got it, but unfortunately, I am now a ebook reader, and it just took so long to like get into the book, and I had to be very careful where I took the book when I had my daughter because I didn't want her to rip a page out because it wasn't my book. Because she's at that stage where she wants to grab everything and put everything in her mouth. So I had to like be very mindful of when I had downtime to read it. And as someone with a 1-year-old, that's just not an easy thing to pull out a thick book and open it up and read it. But the good thing is, after I started reading the book, or right before I started reading the book, it did become a book that I could borrow on Kindle Unlimited. So I did that option. And it did take me about 15 days to read that book. The first part of it was because of the physical book, and just because it took a while for me to get into the story. Now, don't get me wrong, the story was good. That was my favorite read of August. But it just took so long to finish that book. Not because it was long. I think the transition from physical copy to ebook of the same book kind of messed with my mind. But it got to a point where I was determined to finish the book. So let's talk about Fourth Wing as a piece of art, the piece of entertainment. I loved that book, and I was very happy that I loved that book, seeing how I didn't do well with the ACOTAR series with Sarah J. Maas. I'm glad I liked Rebecca Yarros. And of course, I always have a picture of the book somewhere in my video, so you make sure that you get the correct book. By the middle of that book, I was telling my husband I wanted a dragon and that he would need to do whatever physically possible he could do to give me a dragon. And he let me know real quick that that was not possible. So I still want a dragon. I love the tournament aspect of that series. I love the good girl, bad boy. I love the twist of the truth as we know it may not always be the full story or correct. I love the aspect of stories that are passed down over the years get twisted and parts get left out. I love the twist at the end. I was not expecting the twist at the end, not at all. I mean, when it started to unravel, and I was like, we're going to go see who? And I was like, that better not be who I think it is. that better not be. And then at the very last, when they told me who it was, I was like, no. I mean, yes, I'm excited, but no, no way, no effing way. So I like that. I like the found family aspect of it. Just really like that book. It's a true, how I explain it to people, I was like, it's a true fantasy book. And for me, a true fantasy book is an adventure book. It tells a plot, it tells adventure, it tells obstacles, it tells overcome, finding friends along the way, found family. That's a true fantasy for me. And yes, there were some romantic aspects. This book is not for you 10, 11, 12, 13. I would say 14 or 15, no, maybe 15, 16, depending on your kid. But this is not a kid's book, but it was a true fantasy book where the book focused on the adventure and not so much the romance. But they definitely had romantic aspects just because that's how life. You can't do an adventure without having some kind of romantic, a crush, an actual relationship, heartbreak, because that's just a part of living what we call life. So I love that aspect. I love the book so much. I want to see my husband to read it. It's probably not going to happen now because football season starts next week. Go Dallas Cowboys. But I told him I think this is a good fantasy book that he would thoroughly enjoy because it's very heavy on the adventure. Even though it's written from a female's perspective, it's still very well an adventure book. Um, Loved it. So if you didn't really get into ACOTAR or A Court of Thorn and Roses and that whole universe with S.J. Maas, or you don't want to read any of her books due to controversy, I would give Rebecca Yarros a chance. Um, and this is a series book, so that was my top read of the month. Let's get into the next book that I did read, which I was trying to knock out some of my book club books. So if you remember, or if you didn't watch my previous book, we listened to. I'm sorry, we read, listened to, read. Some of us listened, some of us read. The Billionaire Sub, and that was a book I actually did on Fable, which is I'm doing one book a month on Fable. If anyone wants to join, where you can digitally discuss, take a pause. I like Fable because one, it keeps track of your books and it does TV shows, which I'm an entertainment buff. So I would love to talk TV shows with people as well. But also because you can do a virtual book club where you literally just comment per chapter what you're excited about before the book starts, your review, reflection of the book, and it's all done at your own pace. So if you decide to read a book with me, which I'll tell you which book that I'm going to do on Fable in my next video, my TBR for September, then basically as you read, you can comment in each chapter. And then when I get to that chapter, I can comment what I felt and then we can have a conversation that way. But I love it because it's at your own pace. Now, that is a community that I'm willing to grow. And right now, I am the only member, being extremely honest. But I am going to just keep putting a book out each month and hopefully it grows. If not, now I have a nice little digital memoriam about a book that I put out with the public to read at the same time with me. Um, I was thoroughly surprised about the Billionaire Sub. Being Even though I bought the book was free on Amazon at the time when I purchased it, I believe back in July. And when I told my rest of my book club, it was still free as an ebook on Amazon. And I was thoroughly surprised because based off of the cover of the book, as you see, and the name of the title, I was a little afraid that it would just be straight smut with no plot. And I do not like books like that. They have their time and their place, but I really like books with a plot that has some adult content in them sprinkled in. Sometimes a heavier sprinkle than others, but a plot, and it actually had a plot in the book. It was a very short read, about 200 pages, so it didn't take long, short chapters. I think there's only about 20 chapters in it. It was a series book. It's something about millionaires and billionaires for men that I just love. We did the Wolf Hotel, we did the Billionaire Sub, we did the maybe that's it. Oh, and I'm doing the Vampire Excuse me, guys. I did the Filthy Rich Vampire, so it's just something about that aspect in a man that does right by a woman that I really am just drawn to. And this book definitely is setting the groundwork for an interesting series. It kind of gives 50 Shades of Grey, but without the shades of the 50 Shades of Grey, like very billionaire, alternative, not lifestyle. But it starts off with a conflict that brings them together, and then they explore that lifestyle together. Unlike 50 Shades, this girl is very much curious and intrigued by the lifestyle, and it's not something that's forced upon her yet in book one. So as I said, it was a quick read. It was a light read. It was fun. She had some questionable behaviors, which kind of happens when you have someone who is in a certain lifestyle, has money and access, and is kind of swoops in this young girl. So, but it was a good read. We enjoyed it. It wasn't like our favorite. I think it's really hard to compare anything billionaire romance to the Wolf Hotel. That's kind of like our star in the clouds that we point to when it comes to that. But it was a cute read, and like I said, I was thoroughly surprised that there was an actual plot in this book. Okay, so the next book that I read that I'm a little disappointed in was The Skin of Seas, not because of the author, but because that book was not for me. I was very hyped because it was a black mermaid that takes place off the coast of Africa. But I wanted to love that book so much. I wanted that series to be my series, and it just wasn't for me. I got about 11% in, and I had to DNF the book, which at this point I think I've DNF'd 8 books this year, and I started in February, so that's almost a book a month that I've tried, and I'm just like no. And the reason I DNF'd it so quickly is because I had the physical copy. I couldn't get into it. In the midst of starting that book, a digital copy became available at my public library, and then a audio version of the book. And none of those methods really got me intrigued into the book. It just didn't connect to me. It takes place in the 15th century. Basically, what I got from the book is there's a young girl whose job as a mermaid is to collect the souls from the sea from anyone who dies in the ocean so that they can be returned to where they're supposed to be. And I was like, okay, I can get with that. But it was just really technical on words and gods that I didn't understand. It was really technical and African language. I don't know if it was real. I don't know. I just don't know. And it just didn't pull me in. And basically, she defies a god or the rules one day by saving someone. I don't know why she saved this person. I don't know what the repercussions were. I just wasn't drawn into this book, and it just makes me sad because I really wanted to get into this book. And I tried all 3 methods, and it just wasn't for me. So unfortunately, I'm going to stop that series, even though there is a sequel to the book. But if you think that is your jam, I would recommend giving it a try. And maybe I'll give it a try in a few years when I'm there, but that's just not where I am right now. And I typically like historical fictions. In my previous reading journey, but I guess that's not where I am right now. So, unfortunately, DNF. I'm not even giving it a rating because I only got 11% in. Wasn't even the first 100 pages. So, just gonna let that one sit up there by itself. And it makes me so sad. But okay. And then the last book was Housemaids 2, The Housemaid's Secret. That was a book club book. It was good. It was good. Of course, it's a Freida McFadden book, so the twists were there. The intrigue was there. When you think you know the story, it wasn't there. I mean, it wasn't going where you thought it was going. Millie is starting to work my nerves. Just some of the decisions she makes. And I was just telling my friends that she's giving me the same vibes. I'm starting to feel for her the same way I felt for Pip in Good Girls. I'm kind of ready for her story to wrap up because she's starting to make some more decisions. Um, the decision she's making is kind of, yeah, blowing my mind. So, I mean, there's not much I can really say about Housemaids after the second one. If you've read the first one, then you should definitely read the second one. The story continues. If you love the first one, the second one was great. I read that in a day. It was it was good. Frida is she a little wacky. I like it because for entertainment, but we need to keep an eye on Frida because yeah. So that's pretty much the four books that I've read this month or attempted to read. I also had got The Dark Window in a physical copy from the from my public library, and I was having such a struggle reading the books that I already had to read that I went ahead and returned it because I just knew I wasn't going to get to it, and I really wanted to give Dark Window a chance, because I read it previously this summer and I I couldn't get into it. So maybe I'm just not there yet either, which is fine. So the Dark Window, it's not a DNF, it's a DNF for now, which means I'll probably give it another chance at some point in my life. Um, but I didn't get a chance to read that this month. But this has been just a slow month. I'm looking forward to September. Yes, it's busy, but it's also football season, so I'll have a little bit more time because my husband will be doing his stuff for football and his show and all of that stuff. So, yes. Well, I know that was a little sad, the dog and the DNFs and stuff, but that was August. Sometimes we just have slow months, and that's what this month was. Did it stop me from reading? No, it kind of put me in a reading slump. So I'm recording this on September 2nd. So hopefully I can get out of this reading slump when I finish recording and actually read a book that I really want to. But you'll have to come back for the next video to see what that TBR list looks like because your girl is excited. I'm excited for that list. So come back. Let's discuss what we're doing in September. And we'll talk about the Fable book for September, my book club books, independent reading books, and then I have a treat for an extra book. Okay, I'll talk to you later, guys. Later. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for coming to hang out. Bye.